The story begins with a hardcore gamer named Kenichi. From morning to night, day after day, he does nothing but play games. He's not just a casual player. He once spent 3 entire years of his life trying to clear a single game. And even after all that time, he still was not satisfied. No game out there felt challenging enough for him. One day, frustrated, he mutters to himself that all the games he has been playing are trash. He wants something truly extreme, something so difficult that it would take him at least 10 years to complete. Determined, Kenichi starts searching on his computer for the hardest, most brutal game he can find. But no matter how long he searches, nothing meets his expectations. Then suddenly, his computer begins to glitch for no clear reason. The screen flickers, and out of nowhere, a mysterious game window pops up. On it, a message reads that the game is filled with full fantasy elements and offers multiple difficulty levels: easy, normal, hard, and hell mode. Kenichi has never even heard of hell mode before. That alone excites him. Without hesitation, driven by his obsession with extreme difficulty, he selects hell mode. More options appear. He must now choose a class: swordsman, shield bearer, magician, or summoner. Wanting the most difficult experience possible, he accidentally picks the summoner class. Confident and thrilled, he presses enter. The moment he clicks, a flash of lightning bursts across the screen. In an instant, everything goes white. When Kenichi opens his eyes, he finds himself in a completely different world. But something is wrong. He is no longer an adult. He has been reborn as a newborn baby. Confused and unable to process what just happened, he suddenly sees a strange man leaning over him. The man gently lifts him up. Kenichi soon realizes that in this world, his name is Alan. Strangely enough, Alan feels happy about this reincarnation. His previous life had been miserable. He spent every waking moment playing games, working endlessly, and isolating himself. At 35 years old, he was unmarried, lonely, and had wasted his life chasing virtual achievements. Now he has a second chance. 1 year passes, and Alan grows into a healthy toddler. His father, named Radon, is around 20 years old. His mother, Tissia, is incredibly kind and beautiful. They are loving parents, and Alan genuinely feels warmth from them. However, because he chose hell mode, he was born into a very poor family. They live in a frontline village near the kingdom's borders, a place that frequently suffers from war. The villagers must pay heavy taxes to the king despite having almost no stable source of income. Life is harsh and uncertain. Even so, Alan feels grateful. He loves his parents deeply. Watching their affection for each other, he even starts thinking that someday he might have a younger sibling. At night, his mother puts him to sleep in a separate room. But once everyone believes he is asleep, Alan secretly begins working on something important. One night, he suddenly wakes up and tries to open his status window, just like in a game. He needs to grow stronger in this world, insanely powerful if possible. He repeatedly attempts to bring up his status screen, but nothing appears. Instead, something unexpected floats toward him: a grimoire. The magical book hovers in front of him, glowing faintly. Shocked, he almost screams. Hearing the noise, his parents rush into the room. Alan quickly pretends to be asleep to protect his secret. His parents assume he simply had a bad dream and leave. Once they are gone, Alan opens the grimoire. Inside, it contains detailed information about him, his abilities, and especially his summoner class. It explains his stats and the fundamentals of summoning magic. However, there is a problem. He is only 1 year old. He has no mana points available yet. Without mana, he cannot summon anything powerful. The grimoire reveals that at his current level, he can only attempt to summon tiny insects or weak beasts. Determined, Alan begins chanting quietly. He tries to summon something, anything. He uses up what little mana he has, but no matter how hard he tries, nothing appears. Then, suddenly, a crafting card slips out of the grimoire. On it is the image of a strange grasshopper. Just as he prepares to use it, his mother enters the room. Forced once again to pretend to sleep, Alan lies still. His mana is completely drained, and exhaustion takes over. The next morning, he tries again. This time, the grasshopper actually appears. It materializes right in front of his face, large and unsettling. For a moment, Alan is terrified, but then excitement replaces fear, his first successful summon. He attempts to give it commands, but the grasshopper ignores him completely. Frustrated, Alan reopens the grimoire to learn more. He discovers something important. The creatures he summons, known as familiars, can provide him with mana points, ability points, and other benefits. However, first, he must name them. After thinking carefully, he names the grasshopper Denka. When he checks his status again, he notices a slight increase in his stats after summoning Denka. He is about to celebrate when his mother walks in and sees the giant grasshopper near her baby. Terrified, she crushes Denka under her foot instantly. After several more days of practice, Alan manages to summon another creature. This time it is a mouse. He names it Mousy. Unfortunately, both Denka and Mousy are incredibly foolish. They refuse to follow any of his commands. However, Mousy possesses a unique ability called Scurry, allowing it to run at incredible speed. Every day, Alan continues studying his grimoire, trying to understand summoning magic better. He desperately wants to summon a creature that will obey him, but no matter how hard he tries, he fails. Then, one afternoon, his father suddenly rushes home, covered in blood. Panicked, Alan watches as Radon kneels down and excitedly asks, "Alan, do you want to see the monster I killed?" Alan nods eagerly. Radon carries him to where his companions are gathered. There, they show him the massive corpse of a boar monster. It is enormous, far bigger than Alan imagined. Radon proudly explains that Alan was named after a powerful creature called the Elbenbird. As Alan studies the dead boar, he gathers information about it. He learns that boar monsters are classified as C-rank beasts and are extremely dangerous. At that moment, a strange man approaches. His name is Gerard. When Gerard sees Alan, he is shocked. Despite being only 1 year old, Alan can speak clearly and understand conversation like a much older child. Gerard looks at Alan in disbelief and says, "My daughter is the same age as him, and she can barely even speak properly." Meanwhile, the rest of the villagers are overflowing with excitement. After all, it was Radon who defeated that massive boar monster. The people begin cheering loudly for him, praising his bravery and strength. About 10 months later, Alan receives incredible news. His summoning level has finally reached level 2. That means he now has significantly more mana points, access to more creatures, and even additional crafting cards. In other words, his potential has expanded dramatically. One night after dinner, Alan quietly takes his grimoire and heads back to his room. He wants to try summoning a new creature. When he checks his grimoire, he notices that his mana is completely full. But strangely, he still cannot successfully summon anything stronger. Then he discovers something new inside the book. A new type of magic has unlocked, fusion magic. With this ability, he can combine two creatures into a single, more powerful being. Excited, Alan tries to use it immediately. However, despite having more mana than before, he is still too young and lacks the necessary control to complete the fusion. Frustrated, he sighs. What am I supposed to do? Time passes, and Alan finally turns 3 years old. By now, his mana capacity has grown considerably. Determined, he opens his grimoire again and attempts fusion magic one more time. This time, it works. The fusion completes successfully, and a bird appears before him. He names it Chappie. Chappie possesses a unique ability called voice mimicry, allowing it to perfectly imitate anyone's voice. Alan's eyes light up. With this ability, he could lure enemies into traps. Alongside Chappie, he summons 2 more creatures. One is Moppy, a small creature capable of digging extremely deep tunnels underground. The other is a frog with an impressive jumping ability, capable of leaping extraordinary heights. Later that afternoon, around 3 o'clock, Alan's only friend arrives. Her name is Karina. She comes over to play, and the two of them begin mock sword fighting. Karina's swordsmanship skills are shockingly good for her age. She moves with precision and confidence. Alan, on the other hand, struggles to keep up and ends up losing every time. By evening, Alan's parents arrive to take him home. During dinner, he learns that his mother is pregnant. Because of this, she can no longer handle farming work. Alan walks up to his parents and says seriously, "Mom's stomach is getting bigger. I will help you with farming." But his father gently refuses. "You're still just a child. Enjoy your childhood. You will have plenty of time to farm when you grow up." Even though Alan feels responsible and eager to help, he reluctantly agrees. Then Tessia smiles and says, "We are really looking forward to your April ceremony." Alan has no idea what that means. His parents explain that in this world, when a child turns 5 years old, a ceremony is held to reveal their talent. It determines what kind of abilities or potential they possess. They truly believe that Alan will one day make the family wealthy and change their lives. Winter arrives, and Alan continues spending most of his time studying and experimenting with his grimoire. One day, while he is playing with Denka again, his mother suddenly walks into the room. This time, Alan does not manage to hide the creature in time. Tessia sees Denka and panics. Shocked and frightened, she collapses to the ground. Hearing the commotion, Radon rushes into the room. Karina happens to be nearby as well. At that moment, Radon realizes something urgent. The baby could be born at any moment. He immediately turns to Karina and says, "Quick, go call your mother." A little while later, Gerard arrives with his wife, Matilda. The moment she steps into the room, she calmly but firmly orders all the men outside. They need space, and everyone understands. Hours pass. Then morning comes. The sound of a newborn crying fills the house. Alan already knows what it means. His little brother has been born into this world. Radon proudly gives the baby a name, Marsh. As Alan watches his tiny brother, something shifts inside him. For the first time, this world truly feels real and precious. He realizes how much he loves this new life. He makes a silent promise to himself. No matter what it takes, he will give his family a better future. He will make them wealthy. He will protect them. The only problem is, he has no idea how he is going to accomplish that. Years pass. Alan finally turns 5 years old. The day of the April ceremony has arrived. He walks beside his father, Radon, toward the place where his future will be revealed. This is the day when everyone will learn about his talent, about his summoner class, and his ability to call forth different kinds of beasts. As they walk, Radon speaks gently to him. Alan, if you have talent, we'll find out today. The ceremony will reveal everything. Maybe, just maybe, it could change our lives. But he also adds, there will be many children there. The competition at your age is intense. Alan listens quietly. They continue down the road, moving toward the ceremony grounds. Along the way, they run into Karina and her father, Gerard. Alan's face lights up. Karina is his only real friend in this world. Seeing her gives him confidence. Eventually, they reach the city. For Alan, it feels overwhelming. The buildings are larger, the streets are busier, children his age are everywhere. But something quickly becomes clear. The other children are dressed in fine, elegant clothing, expensive fabrics, clean shoes, confident expressions. Alan looks down at himself. Compared to them, he and the other village kids look painfully poor. The city children whisper and casually label them as low class, serfs. Alan feels the weight of it, but he keeps walking. Together, they head toward the church, where the April ceremony will take place. As they approach, commoners along the road stare openly at them, some with curiosity, others with quiet judgment. Alan tightens his small fist. Today will decide everything. The reason the crowd kept staring was simple. They did not want low-class children, serfs, to rise above their place. Soon, all the children finally reached the church. A few church officials stepped forward and formally welcomed everyone. Today, one of them announced proudly, with the blessing of the God of creation, Alimiya, we will discover your children's talents. Excitement spread instantly through the room. Alan already knew the name Alimiya. In his past life, Alimiya had been the developer of the game, the one who created this entire world. Here, however, people worshipped Alimiya as a god. They were led into the main ceremony hall. The moment Alan stepped inside, his eyes landed on a massive statue at the front of the room. It was Alimiya. They had built an enormous monument to the game's developer and treated him like a divine being. Church members began explaining how the April ceremony would work. As they spoke, something clicked in Alan's mind. Alimiya. That was the same name attached to the mysterious letter he had received in his previous life before being reincarnated. The ceremony began. A church official stepped forward and announced, "We will call each child one by one. When they touch the crystal ball, their magical attributes and talents will be revealed." The first child called was Pulmus, the village chief's son. He walked forward nervously, hands shaking. After a brief hesitation, he placed his palm on the crystal ball. It began to glow. After examining the result, a church member turned to his father and said, "Your son has talent as a merchant." Pulmus's father beamed with pride. Any talent was rare, and having one meant opportunity. Sakai. As the child touched the crystal, parts of his stats became visible to everyone present. Meanwhile, Alan stood off to the side, completely relaxed. He already knew his class and talent, summoning magic. He was in no rush. Casually, he pulled out his grimoire and began recording information inside it. Strangely, no one else could see the book. Another child stepped forward and touched the crystal. Nothing happened. The ball did not glow at all. That meant no talent. The boy burst into tears and ran back to his father, who comforted him gently. Next came a child named Dora. He confidently placed his hand on the crystal. This time it glowed brightly. His stats appeared before everyone. He possessed the talent of an axeman. Even more shocking, his magical attribute ranked at A rank. It was the first high-ranked result of the day. Gasps filled the church, and Dora's father stood tall with pride. One by one, children stepped forward. Some discovered talents. Others left disappointed. Then it was Karina's turn. She ran eagerly toward the crystal and placed her hand on it. The reaction was immediate. The crystal erupted with intense light, far brighter than before. Murmurs spread through the hall. No one understood what was happening. Gerard looked terrified for his daughter's safety and instinctively moved closer. The church officials stared at the revealed status window in disbelief. Finally, they announced the result. This is no ordinary talent. She possesses one of the rarest talents in the entire world. The Sword Lord. The room exploded with shock. Her stats were overwhelmingly superior to every other child's. It was almost unbelievable that a poor villager's daughter could possess something so extraordinary. Alan felt genuinely happy for her. Then it was his turn. He stepped forward calmly and placed his hand on the crystal ball. Nothing happened. Confused, he tried again. Suddenly, the crystal flared with blinding light, so intense that Alan was knocked backward onto the floor. Radon rushed toward him in panic. But after checking the result, the church officials delivered crushing news. Your son has no trait. Alan froze. He quickly checked his own status. Something was terribly wrong. All of his attributes had dropped to E rank. Every single one. It felt like a glitch. Frustration boiled inside him. In his mind, he cursed the developer. What kind of game is this? There has to be a bug. Radon knelt beside him and tried to comfort him, but Alan could not process what had just happened. He returned home in silence. His family tried to reassure him, telling him that everything would be fine. That night, Alan sat alone with his grimoire open, staring at his stats. Then it hit him. He had chosen Hell Mode. Of course it would not be easy. Of course his path would be harder than everyone else's. If he wanted to reach the top, he would have to work far harder than anyone around him. The next morning, Alan's family visited Karina's house to celebrate her Sword Lord talent. Villagers gathered together, sharing food and laughter. Everyone was thrilled about Karina's future. Matilda even arranged some drinks for the adults. The atmosphere was joyful and loud. Everyone was happy. Everyone except Radon. He tells Jared, only you guys should be celebrating. That makes Alan wonder if his father might be feeling a little jealous. After all, only Karen has the rare Sword Lord talent, while his own son, Alan, supposedly has none. But Alan knows his dad well. If something seems off, there's probably a deeper reason. Meanwhile, Jared and Reedon start arguing. The tension rises fast, and before anyone can stop them, it turns physical. Everyone watching is completely shocked. Just then, their wives step in and shut the whole fight down. Later, they explain to Alan and Karen that they've been friends since childhood. They discovered the village together and even built their homes side by side. Raiden then turns to Jared and says bluntly, your daughter has serious talent. She could become a knight, maybe even a noble someday. So stop wasting time hanging around families like ours who are just serfs. Jared snaps back. Have you lost your mind? Before the argument can go any further, a man runs up to Jared, out of breath. Jared, the knights are summoning your daughter. Now, whether they like it or not, they have to head toward the city. As Jared and Reedon leave, a boy named Dora approaches Alan. What are you even doing here? He asks. Alan can't respond. Karen, however, is clearly irritated at Dora. At that moment, the kingdom's knights begin arriving in the city. The news spreads quickly, and everyone is stunned. Soon, the captain of the knights, Xanoff, steps forward. I've heard there's a sword lord in this village, he says. Jared replies confidently, yes, that's my daughter. Karen runs up just then. Xanoff looks at her carefully. So, this 5-year-old girl is the sword lord? I don't believe it. I'll have to test her myself. A test? Everyone is shocked. What kind of test could he mean? Xanoff clarifies, I don't trust you or this child. She'll have to duel one of my men, one-on-one. Jared and the others are furious. Karen is only 5 years old, and Xanoff wants her to fight the vice commander, Lebrend, a man known for his overwhelming power. But they have no choice. Lebrend steps forward. Karen follows. The duel begins. At first, Lebrend handles everything easily. Then Karen starts striking again and again. Suddenly, Lebrend cheats. He kicks her hard, sending her flying backward. Jared and Alan are furious, but other knights restrain them. Then something changes. A green aura bursts out from Karen's body. Xanoff immediately realizes she has awakened an extra skill. Karen launches a relentless assault. Lebrend can't keep up. Finally, she shatters his sword. The match is over, Xanoff announces. The crowd erupts in excitement over Karen's victory. Xanoff approaches Jared. Forgive me, I doubted your daughter, but I'd like to discuss her future. If you don't trust me, bring your friends. That evening, they meet at the village chief's house. Xanath introduces himself properly and explains that his master sent him to confirm whether a true sword lord existed here. There is no doubt, he says. A sword lord has been born in this village. You should even consider renaming it Karen Village. Everyone is stunned. He explains that 3 years ago, a child with the same supposed talent served the royal family, but failed. After investigation, the knights discovered he wasn't a sword lord at all, just an ordinary swordsman. Since then, the knights decided to personally test anyone claiming that title. When Karen turns 12, she must attend the Magic Academy. Xanath continues. After that, she can serve the royal family. Dora suddenly asks, "Can we go to the Magic Academy too?" Karen beams. "Of course, we're all going, even Alan." What? That kid doesn't even have talent. Alan is speechless. If only they knew. He's mentally 40 years old, far more intelligent than any of them. Xanath then turns to Alan and his father. "And who might you be?" Raiden introduces himself and his son, but Xanath already recognizes him. "So you're the famous boar hunter Raiden? It's an honor. My master enjoys the meat you provide. I've heard you play a major role in boar hunting." Alan suddenly realizes something. His dad is basically a superstar. After that, everyone heads home. As Alan reflects, one thing becomes clear. He may have started this game on Hell mode, but no matter what, he's going to finish it.